Absolutely. Atul, stay on with us as we're tracking some further updates with regards to the US-Iran war. The Republican-controlled U.S. Senate has now passed a resolution seeking to limit U.S. President Donald Trump's war powers over Iran. The vote has come amid rising congressional concerns over U.S. military action against Iran, with the measure passing narrowly in the Senate after having already cleared the House. A handful of Republicans had joined Democrats in a 50-48 vote. This, as I mentioned earlier, was also passed by the US House of Representatives earlier. It's being seen as a largely symbolic move by the US Congress, as it will not be sent to Trump for his consideration, as it does not carry the force of law. Of course, a lot of Republicans in the US Congress have expressed skepticism about a peace plan that Trump has agreed with the Iranians, even as the conflict now stretches to its fifth month. And what's really interesting about this vote is that it marks the very first time that both chambers of the US Congress have approved a concurrent resolution instructing a sitting president to end a military action since the War Powers Resolution of 1973 was enacted. My colleague Atul Ranjan still with us on the broadcast. Atul, over to you. What's really led to this decision? We have seen a couple of Republican lawmakers in the past expressing opposition to the war. Currently, Donald Trump himself has come to power on an anti-war rhetoric.
Well, of course, and that has reflected in the passage of the resolution earlier in the U.S. House of Representatives and now in the U.S. Senate, where some of the Republicans have voted against the Republican government. But however, as you said, it's a concurrent resolution, which means that the president is not bound to sign it, and it does not carry any weight of law. And what we're also picking up from White House sources is that these resolutions are concurrent resolutions, and obviously they don't really impact government's functioning. Now, also White House sources, what they say is that this particular resolution calls for cessation of all the hostilities on the Iranian front. Now, White House sources point out that after April 7, there hasn't been any hostilities between US and Iran. That is where the temporary truce was broken, between the two countries. And since then, there hasn't been anything as such going on. So that is where White House sources point out that while this may carry a symbolic move, this doesn't really impact the functioning of the government, because obviously one of the reasons is because the US-Iran hostilities have ceased to exist anymore.
Absolutely, Atul. Stay on with us. We're tracking one last piece of information as far